Hi there. I know recently a lot of people have been interested in seeing how to create these kind of wet sci-fi sounds. So in this video, what I figured we'd do is open up Vital and just start from scratch. So that's exactly what we're going to do. So with that, let's go into our project and get started. All right, so here we are inside of Reaper, and I'm just going to do a new instance here, a new track, and on it, I'm going to put on a Vital here. And what I like to do is I like to start out with my 3D map, as always, just so I can see kind of my wave file, my waveform, my wave table. In here, I'm going to go into my folders. I'm going to choose a sound from my DDA core pack. If you don't already have this, it's absolutely free, so I'll have a link in the description below if you want to grab it to use in your designs. So here, I'm going to choose my growls. I really like the growls in this pack. I tend to go to them a lot. So I'm just going to choose growl 3, but really with this kind of sound design technique, any kind of wavetable you choose is going to give you a different variant and different sound. So experiment with those. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do here is with LFO1, I'm going to assign it to scan through the waveform here. So kind of like that, except I want it to be quite a bit slower. So I'm going to bring this down about, I don't know, maybe 5 seconds. All right, so that's our sound. The next thing I'm going to do is turn on oscillator 2 here. Again, turn on the map. I'm going to choose another sound from my pack here. I'm going to choose this one for now. This one we can also change later, but for now I'm going to choose this. And what we're going to do is select RM oscillator 1, which if I'm not mistaken is ring modulation to oscillator 1. So I'm going to turn this all the way up. Right, so it makes it sound a little bit more gritty. And what I'm going to do here, because this one's going to filter 2, I'm going to turn on filter 2 here. And this one, I'm going to turn on the phaser. And the phaser here, this is just a kind of a general trigger technique is that anytime you use a phaser, you can easily get these kind of wet sounds. So here I'm going to choose the negative, and I'm going to bring this all the way up. Right, you can kind of already hear it, that you can get some wet sounds out of that. But what we're actually going to do is I'm going to want to modulate this. So I'm going to grab LFO number 2 here, and I'm going to assign it to down here. And I want this to go in a negative value. Right, and you can already hear we're getting some movement, though we want that to be a lot faster. So here I'm going to switch oscillator 2 to seconds, and I'm going to want to make it pretty fast. And there you go. You can kind of start to hear some of that sound. All right, so that's good. So next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to want to be able to kind of switch this in and out. So I'm going to assign the macro 1 here to the mix. So I'm going to leave it at 100 for now, but later if I ever want to change it, we can use our macro to change their mix here. All right, the next thing I want to do here is for LFO2 is actually I want to choose a different kind of pattern, just so it's a bit more random. So this one's good for now. Right, and you can get some cool wet sounds that way. So that's a good start. The next thing I'm going to want to do is I want to choose a effect on here, which is the time skew, because this has some cool spectral sounds and wet sounds. So I'm going to assign this with a new LFO. So I'm going to choose LFO 3 here and assign that to here. Just like that, and we're going to do an envelope trigger and seconds again. That's maybe a bit slow. And here, if we want to, we can choose like another one, like maybe pulse or something. And maybe assign that to there as well. All right, so that sounds pretty cool. Next thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to start moving to our effects here, and I'm going to add a multiband compressor. And a distortion here, maybe a little bit of fold. Okay, and the next thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to add another phaser. So we already have a bit of wetness coming from our first phaser. Let's do a similar thing here with the second one. So change this to seconds, and I'm going to bring this all the way down to as slow as I can. Right, I'm going to bring the depth down a little bit, and maybe the center. So I'm gonna play it around here. I mean, you can play around with the center where you want the center to be. So I'm gonna leave it there for now. And then I also want to assign this to an LFO. So I'm gonna choose LFO number 2 here, which is already assigned to our filter 2 cutoff. So let's put this on the depth here. Right, so that sounds good. But now, of course, based on where the center is here, you're going to get some different wet sounds. So I want to modulate this center parameter here, and I'm going to do that with another LFO. So I'm doing LFO 4 here. So LFO 4, again, here, I'm going to choose a different kind of pattern. Maybe this one, change it to seconds. Maybe something a bit smoother. All right, so far we have a pretty wet sound. It's pretty good, but we want to be able to control it a bit more, so I'm going to do a few more tweaks here. All right, so to our LFO2 here, this one is affecting the speed here of our phaser as well as the phaser over here. So what I'm going to do is I want to assign a macro to be able to change the speed. So I actually want to go the other way. Right, so this way I can control how wet it is. The next thing maybe you could want to do is to change maybe the mix of this phaser here. So if I bring this all the way down like this, so when I bring this up, I lose this one completely. And if I want to bring it in, right, I can choose how much of this I want to have in there. So with that, that is our basic sound. Now what's cool about this is, of course, you can choose different effects in here. And of course, different wavetables, and those are going to completely change your sound. So if I choose a different one here. Right, so what's great about this technique and using phasers like this is that you're not losing the characteristic of the wavetable here. So depending on the wavetable you choose, you still get that quality of the wavetable while still being able to create some sort of wetness and adding that kind of that wet quality to the sound. All right, so I hope you found this useful and valuable. If you want to see another tutorial inside of Vital where I break down and show how to create some sci-fi sounds, I'll have it on the screen here. If you have any comments, questions, leave it down below. And just a reminder to grab the Vital Core Wavetable Pack if you haven't already. All right, so with that said, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.